Hi everyone, my name is Scott Lyons. I'm an attorney in Visalia, California, and Visalia is actually the prettiest city in the whole Central Valley, the whole San Joaquin Valley, but that's not really the point. I'm an attorney, and what I do is bankruptcy law, basically, Chapter 7 and Chapter 13. I also do some family law, some personal injury, a tiny bit of criminal defense. So this is, of course, basically an advertising video, advertising for myself. But it's not just me. I work here with my son, Louis Lyons, who's also an attorney, and my other son, Charles, who is a paralegal. He's not an attorney, but he does all the work. We just don't pay him as much. And in any event, I have a very nice staff. My staff is largely Spanish-speaking as well as English-speaking. My joke is everybody in my office speaks Spanish except me. And that's kind of embarrassing since I basically grew up in the state of New Mexico, but everybody spoke Spanish and English and switched to English whenever I came into their house. In any event, let me talk to you a little bit about bankruptcy. Basically, what we want to do is stop everyone from having to file bankruptcy. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that, and it has to do with co-signing for vehicles or other valuable items for relatives. So here's the rule on co-signing. It's a very basic rule. Never co-sign for anybody, no matter how much you love them. I have so many war stories to tell you. Well, I'll tell you one where this poor grandmother co-signed for a grandson on this really expensive Chevy Silverado, and then after 4 or 5 months, he couldn't make the payments, so he came and he parked the Chevy Silverado at his grandmother's house, who was in her 80s. She couldn't even drive, and so she had to give it back, and they sold it for a song, and they came after her, not her grandson, for it was over $20,000. And when she tried to contact her grandson to help her pay back the $20,000, interestingly, he was unavailable. He remained unavailable for apparently the rest of her life. So she had to file a bankruptcy, but not only that, he went and complained about her to other family members so that everybody in the family got angry at her. For what reason, I do not know. And so what happened? She files a bankruptcy. She went through the stress and strain in her golden years. She was almost 84, as I recall. In any event, and plus, then she didn't get invited to Christmas and Thanksgiving dinner by the rest of the family. So never co-sign, and then maybe if you never co-sign, you never have to file a bankruptcy. Something else, credit cards. Well, credit cards are from Satan, and here's the problem with credit cards. The interest rates are so darn high. My goodness. That's why actually charge cards like American Express are better, because when you use it, you're supposed to pay it within a month. And I would actually recommend using a charge card rather than a credit card. Not that I'm advertising for American Express. I have no connection to American Express, but a charge card is much better. And use it only for small amounts and only if it's something really necessary. And I mean really necessary for food if you don't have any food. Not, oh, I need that Swedish cheese slicer. No, I would not use a credit card to buy that. I would not use a credit card to buy a 3rd or 4th or 5th pair of shoes at Macy's. I would only use it for things that are very important and then try to pay them back right away. If everybody follows this advice, I will be out of a job. There will be no more bankruptcies, except there's the problem of medical bills and hospital bills. And I'm not a doctor, so I can't give you advice on how to avoid those, except try to be healthy, eat your vegetables, go to bed at 9 o'clock, but that's about as far as I can go because I'm only a lawyer. I am not a doctor. Now, let's talk about Chapter 7 a little bit. Here's the great thing about bankruptcy. When you do a bankruptcy, your life becomes an open book. You have to tell the court about all the assets you have, and then you also have to tell them about all the debts you have. You can't pick and choose. But if you're 100% honest, straight, and truthful, you get this incredible reward, which is you get your final discharge. Your debts are discharged, at least all your dischargeable debts. There are some things that are not dischargeable. For instance, if you owe child support, that is not dischargeable. And generally, spousal support is also not dischargeable. I used to say student loans are not dischargeable, but there's a lot of ferment now because President Biden is signing these executive orders. I don't think they'll be upheld as constitutional, quite frankly. So generally, you can't discharge a student loan unless you have an unusual disability, and this is noted on a case-by-case basis. This advice is just general. Everybody's case is different, obviously. But one more thing, I know I keep thinking about credit cards because they're very bad and they live rent-free in my brain. Yeah, regarding credit cards, if you know that you're going to file bankruptcy, of course, stop using these credit cards. That's not fair to these companies, and actually that's really considered a fraud if you charge up credit cards and keep charging knowing that you're going to file bankruptcy and knowing that you have no intention of paying it back. That's not right, it's not moral, it's not ethical, and more importantly, it's not legal. So don't do that, of course. But it's amazing. Remember, truth and honesty are not just a shield, they are a sword. They will really help you throughout life, not just in bankruptcy. But I am going to segue a little bit away from credit cards, even though they occupy a large amount of my mind. And that is, oftentimes people have to file bankruptcy. Why? Because they loaned their car to their son, but their son was not on their insurance. And what happens? Their son gets into a car accident and damages someone else's car, and sometimes injures another party. And then who gets sued? Not the son. Nobody wants the son. The son doesn't have any money, of course. They go after the mom or the dad who unfortunately loaned the car to their son. And they don't happen to have $50,000 or $100,000 or $200,000 in ready cash lying around the house to pay this debt. So unfortunately, sometimes we have to file a bankruptcy. So there's many different reasons, and everybody's case is different, and everybody's situation is different, and everybody's life is different. So you need somebody who's very well trained, who's been doing this for a long time. Might I suggest myself? I have been doing this for a long time. I finished about 42 years. I'm almost starting my 43rd year of practicing bankruptcy law, as well as other types, as well as several years of clerking before that. And the great thing about my office, the consultation is free. Everything is confidential. If you come in to talk to me, you will not read about it in the newspaper the next day. That's very upsetting when that happens. Not only that, everybody's situation is so much different that sometimes I advise people, yes, maybe a bankruptcy is the way to go. Or maybe a Chapter 13 is the way to go, where we take the debt and we stretch it out like saltwater taffy and pay it back over 5 years. Or maybe you shouldn't do a bankruptcy at all. Maybe there are other things to do. Maybe it's just one debt and you can make a claim of exemption and pay it back with a wage garnishment, but it's only $25 or $50 per paycheck. There's any number of things that can be done. And as I said, everybody's case is different. So what do you really want to do? You want to call 559-636-8122 and set up an appointment with Scott Lyons, attorney at law, at 1010 West Main Street, Visalia, California, prettiest city in the whole San Joaquin Valley. And I will be happy to talk to you, and we will have a nice time together. You'll actually enjoy it. There will be no reason to be stressed and strained. Your blood pressure should be down, your heart rate should be down. So if you have any questions of any kind at all, please give me a call and our office will set up an appointment for you. Thank you very much. Talk to you later.